Hello everyone, I hope you guys are doing absolutely fine. So now let's continue with our next SQL question, that is find customers who purchased in Q1 but not in Q2. So here we have table orders which has order ID, customer ID, order date. Order ID is definitely the primary key, then each row represents the purchase made by customer on a given date. So the problem says that write a SQL query to find all the customers who made at least one purchase in Q1, that is January till March, but did not make any purchase in Q2, that is April to June of the same year. We have to return only the customer ID, distinct customer ID. So let's look at the example. So here is the example. We have the orders table and the output is 2, 4. Why? Because customer ID 1 and 3 only have the orders in Q1 and Q2, but 2 and 4 do not have. Right? So let's see how we can solve this. So we will be using two approaches. One is using not exists and the another solution is using group by plus having. So let's see for the first approach. Right, so for the first approach, as I mentioned, we will be using not exists. So we have all the customers, right? 1 2 3 4. First we will take out all the customers who have placed the order in Q1, right? So they have mentioned one or greater than one, right? They have to at least place one order in Q1. There can be multiple, that's fine, but you have to first take all the customers who have placed the order in Q1. Let me do that first. I'll alias this as O1, and what I'll do is where. So to in order to okay, so first let me do one thing. Let me remove this. So in order to get the quarter right in SQL Server, we have something called as DATEPART. So in DATEPART, if I give here quarter and here if I give O1 dot order date, so now this will give me the quarter for that respective order date. Right, so this is fine. Let me remove this from here, and here as well I'll do is o1 dot customer ID I will take, and here what I will do here, I'll say where order. So we will have to get the date part, right? So quarter equal to 1. So now we got all the customer IDs who have placed the order in Q1. So we have to filter from these. We have to filter what we have to filter. We have to take each customer ID and check if they have placed any order in Q2. That means if I simply write the Q2 query, same, it will be same, right? I'll just copy this. I'll say this and I'll change this to 2, right? So I'll get 1 and 3. They have placed the order in quarter 2. So I have to get all those customers who have not placed. So I'll just use not exist. So if I run this like this, let me give it a space. So this I'll rename it as Q2, and here let me remove this and save 1. So I'll tell you why I'm doing that. And here I'll say and not exists. This will be my inner query, right? So but here we don't know, like we are not joining the inner query with respect to the customer ID, right? So we have the customer ID 1 2 3 4 in the outside, but I have to check, like, okay, for this one customer ID or customer ID 1 in the inner query, do I have any record? If not, then only include it in my output. So for that, we have to join it. So if I run this as is, now it will give me all the customer IDs, because it is not joining based on the customer ID. It is just checking if one row exists. Okay, fine. For quarter 2, if any one of the row is existing, then it will return true. So that's why I have to also add over here. If I add o1 dot customer ID equal to o2 dot customer underscore ID, right? So now we have linked So we are only checking for all the customers in quarter one by one we are checking if there is any output for quarter two. So now if I run this, it will give me 2 and 4. Okay, some issue in the date part. Okay, so here I have to give and, right? So now if I run this, I will get, okay, o1 dot, okay, this should be o2 dot customer order number, sorry, yeah. So now we got 2 and 4, right? So how this is working is for each of the customers in Q1, it is joining with O2, and in O2 what we have added filter, we have added filter of quarter 2, right? So if there is any match, then that means the person has placed the order, right? And it will return false because we are saying not exists. Only if it is not exist, then retain that customer id in from this list, right? So that's why order or customer id 1 and 3 have the orders in q2. So for those it is returning false, hence those are not included. Only 2 and 4 do not have the orders in q2, those will be returned, right? I hope this is clear, right? So one last thing that we have to do here is we have to add distinct. Why? Because in our current case we have only one record per quarter for 2 and 4. So here if you see customer id 2, one record, right? Customer id for one record, both are for quarter one only. But let's say if we had multiple records or multiple orders in q1, then these would come here duplicated in the output. So to avoid that, you have to give distinct. So once you give distinct, then we will get only the distinct customer id in the output. I hope this is clear. So now let's look at the next approach using your group by and having. So let me run the table again. So what we will be doing here is we will add two more columns called q1 and q2, right? So let me add that. So here what I'll say, case when date part of quarter comma order underscore date equal to 1, then 1 else 0. So essentially what I'm saying, only for those rows where the order is in q1, then make it as 1, otherwise make it as 0. So this is this. Let me copy this again over here, make it as q2, this will be 2, right? Let me run this somewhere, some issue. Okay, date part else 0 end is missing, right? Let me add this and run it. Yeah, so now let me copy this and head over to my Excel. Let me paste it over here, right? And let me just border it. Okay, so what we will be essentially doing is, so now we have the customer orders, right? So now what we will do, we'll do a group by in the outside query. So this is the inner query, right? In outer query what we'll do, group by our customer, and we will count the q1 and q2. So let me copy this as is, and let's say for customer 1, what is the count? These are the two rows, right? So q1 if I sum it will be 1, q2 if I sum it will be 2. Similarly for customer 2, what will be the count? q1, there is just one row, so 1 and 0 as is, no change. For 3 again it is sum is 1 and 1, right? For again 4 it is 1 and 0. So now if I ask you, who can you give me the or customer IDs from this table who have ordered in Q1 but not ordered in Q2? Now it is a simple task of filtering, right? So we have to filter here based on the Q1 greater than 0, Q2 equal to 0, right? So Q1 greater than 0, all are greater than 0, right? So now all the order customer IDs are in focus, but where the customer ID Q2 is 0, those are the ones that are not having any order in Q2. So it is 2 and 4, right? So this is the basic concept. Let's look at the solution in your SSMS. So here let me do a select outside. Okay, first let me enclose this into a subquery, right? From this one, and here let me add it, right? So this we have to alias, otherwise we will get an error. So from this what we need, we just need the customer ID, right? Customer underscore ID, right? Then what we said, we will be grouping by the customer ID itself, right? And how to filter now, since we have to sum those up, right? So if I had to one more auto query, I have to first sum it, and then I have to use the where. So instead of that, let's sum it over here itself. So what I'll do is having sum of my q1, right, greater than 0, and sum of q2 equal to 0, right? I hope this is self-explanatory. Only those customer IDs whose number of orders are greater than 0, that means at least 1, and customer IDs whose order in Q2 is 0, give me those. So now if I run this, I will get 2 and 4, right? And in the auto query, we do not need to specify distinct, because group by itself will give me the distinct records, right? So this is the lengthier approach. So let me show you one smaller approach. So let me do one thing. Let me just right select. So what we just want the customer ID. Let me say from orders, and here what I'll do again, group by, same thing. The syntax will be same, only the thing that we are changing is, so what we did in this query, we wrote a inner query to get this q1 and q2, right? What if I just change this case statement from here and add it inside this sum? Won't that be same, right? So that is what I'm doing. I'll just copy this, and here I'll say having sum of this one greater than 0. So it's the same thing, essentially the same thing. Whatever was there inside this case, I just took it and I'm adding in the sum, and sum of, let me copy the q2 as well, this will be 0, right? Let me remove this, right? So now if I run this, I will get same 2 and 4, correct? So we saw two approaches. One is using your not exist, so, and the second one is your using group by and having, right? So please watch it again if you find this confusing. It is pretty simple. So yeah, just watch it again and you will get it, right? So I hope you like this one. See you in the next one.